Coming up on Mountain News this morning, another weather-related disaster reaches the $1 billion mark in terms of damage here in the Commonwealth. And Knott County will soon get some help from the Perry County Ambulance Service after its current service decided to pull out.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Well, it's a rainy Tuesday morning here. I'm Dakota Makris. Good morning. It's almost 5 o'clock. And speaking of the rain, let's head over to Brandon for a look at that forecast this morning. And Brandon, I saw some lightning this morning. I don't know where you are. There you are. Saw some lightning this morning when I left my house, but it wasn't a lot. I mean, it was just like a little flash.
Well, here's the thing. When I was driving, and I actually got here a little earlier than I normally do today, it was like the sky was lighting up, like it was like a blink.
It was just the paparazzi taking pictures of you.
Exactly. That's what it was. But this morning, we got some things to track for you. We're still in the first alert weather day for a little while longer. I was hoping this mess would be out of here by now, but it's not quite just yet. Let's take you on a bit of a radar tour this morning. Let's go on over basically into parts of far eastern Kentucky, where we are looking again at some heavier pockets of rain into parts of southwest Virginia. Letcher and Pike counties back over just north of Hindman and Knott County. We scoot on down toward the Cumberland Valley, where you see some rain has moved through parts of Harlan County, Bell County, into parts of Claiborne County and Lee County, or Claiborne County, Tennessee, and Lee County, Virginia. And then we scoot up to our main area of concern, Manchester, getting soaked right now, coming out of Laurel County, and they have a couple of different advisories and warnings over that way. Matter of fact, the first warning is a flash flood warning that goes for another about 30 minutes there, a little bit less than 30 minutes at this point for Laurel, Pulaski, and Rockcastle counties. And then we have a flood advisory that goes for parts of Clay, Jackson, Laurel, Pulaski, and Rockcastle counties until 6:45. So we'll keep a close eye on both those for you. Thankfully, it looks like the rain is starting to let up a little bit. There's our Buffalo Mountain camera looking back toward the lightning there this morning. You can still see a few flashes up there right now. Current conditions with temperatures, we're still mild out there this morning, 50s and 60s across the board. Looks like 69 out toward Monticello is one of our warm spots this morning. Out the door forecast, scattered chances for showers and storms will continue to around lunchtime, and then we start to clear out as we head into the afternoon hours, getting at about 74 later today. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you. Another billion-dollar disaster in Kentucky. NOAA reports the March 3rd windstorm is officially the fourth billion-dollar disaster in the Commonwealth in the last 2 years. There were a total of 25 separate billion-dollar weather disasters in the U.S. during the past 25 months. 4 of them were in the Commonwealth. Chris Bailey has more.
March 3rd, 2023.
Today, we are going to have a dangerous weather day.
A historic windstorm hits the bluegrass. High winds topped 80 miles an hour in some cases. 4 people lost their lives, including one woman in Lexington after a tree fell on her car while she was inside. More than 500,000 customers in the state were without power, some for days, after hurricane-force winds destroyed trees and power poles. Cleanup was tough. Utility crews worked around the clock to clear debris and restore power. A month later, President Biden approved a major disaster declaration for the largest windstorm in our region's history, something he's done for Kentucky time and time again over the past 25 months. The March 3rd windstorm joins other billion-dollar weather events, the historic ice storms in February of 2021. Our region was hit with back-to-back ice storms over a 2-week span. Fast forward to December 2021. A deadly tornado outbreak ripped through central and western Kentucky, killing 80 people and leaving behind trails of destruction. 7 months later, flash flooding put much of the Appalachian region underwater, becoming one of the worst flood events in the history of the Bluegrass State. More than 12 inches of rain fell in just a few hours. 44 people lost their lives. Hundreds of homes were swept away or destroyed, and infrastructure was demolished. Kentuckians have been through these natural disasters together, and we will continue to stick together when and if other disasters strike.
In 2021, the U.S. recorded $20 billion weather events. In 2022, there were 18, and in total, those cost $310 billion. Well, following the announcement that lifeguard ambulance service would be leaving Knott County, the county's fiscal court worked to find those services elsewhere. As soon as the end of the month, the Perry County Ambulance Service will also be in Knott County. It will be set up where Lifeguard Ambulance currently is and will be contracted with Knott County for the next year.
We'll assume operations in Knott County and we'll have a base in Knott County. So the response times should be equal to what Knott County has seen, if not improved. We have other bases in Perry County near Knott County, so that should improve response time.
Well, Perry County Ambulance says this partnership will not negatively impact the people of Perry County. Adding the additional ambulance station being added to the Jeff community will improve the situation even more. We have a positive update to share with you about Louisville Metro Police Officer Nicholas Welch. He was critically injured in the Old National Bank shooting in Louisville. Police say he has been improving all week and is now off of the ventilator. Well, they say he's shown neurological improvement and can now follow some commands. He is still battling pneumonia and other infections, but they say he is making remarkable progress. That's some good news there. People across the state are remembering a woman who became a key part of Governor Andy Beshear's Team Kentucky briefings during COVID and was an advocate for the deaf and hard of hearing. Virginia Moore died Saturday. She had been battling an illness for several years. She was the executive director of the Kentucky Commission on Deaf and Hard of Hearing. She attended numerous COVID-19 briefings and offered sign language for many events. People at the Kentucky School for the Deaf in Danville say she was an inspiration to them.
That was a great help to help the public know more about deafness itself and about American Sign Language, because of Virginia being there in everyone's lives on their televisions during the pandemic.
Well, those with the Kentucky Commission on Deaf and Hard of Hearing say they are still working on planning memorial services for Virginia. Former state representative Jonathan Schell made a stop in Pikeville yesterday, campaigning for Commissioner of Agriculture, bringing his Defending Ag and Freedom Tour to the farmers in the area. Schell, who hopes to secure the Republican nomination for the position during the primary election next week, says he would focus on fewer farming regulations, more secondary manufacturing jobs, promoting farm businesses, and being a voice for the people. He says that starts with hearing from those he hopes to represent.
It's one of the largest regulatory agencies in the state, but more importantly, I think that it is the voice of rural Kentucky, it's the voice of agriculture, and it's the voice of agriculture business in the state. And the reason that I want to meet with the constituents that represent this department is because you can't really know what you need, you can't really know what the issues are unless you're talking to people.
Kentucky's primary election is 1 week from today. Well, thank you so much for getting your Tuesday morning started with the Sierra Mountain News this morning. Coming up, the Biden administration works on some new rules requiring airlines to pay passengers for issues they might experience with cancellations or delays.
Still a little bit iffy this morning, but the worst of the storms are starting to move out. Still a few more scattered chances as we head toward the afternoon hours. I'll track them out for you in about 3 minutes.